Hey, everybody. Welcome to What Drives Us, episode 293 for September 26, 2018. My name is Russell Frost. I am your host this evening. And with me, of course, I have one of the most amazing panels at Advanced Tech Auto there is. Let's introduce them and get this show on the road. My wingman on this show, our man in Chicago, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
Hey, great panel, great chat room as always. People are already stacking into the chat. Looking forward to it.
Oh, no.
Tonight's inebriation is brought to me by Leinenkugels. I am drinking a summer shandy in the hopes that I can extend summer just a few more weeks.
The summer's over.
Good luck with that.
Yes.
Ouch. Ouch. Well, our man in the Pacific Northwest, Mr. Patrick Connor.
Hello, I am with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. This is going to be a great show. Buckle up, everybody. Should be fun.
Thank you very much. Our man in Boulder, Colorado, the founder of Boulder Hybrids at boulderhc.com, Mr. Paul Guzik.
Hey, everybody. And yeah, summer's officially over. Today, this morning, our furnace kicked on at the shop for the first time this season. So
Oh, no.
That's it.
that's it. Although it got really warm in the afternoon, so that made up.
Nice. And last and certainly not least, our man in the Kitchener-Waterloo region of Canada. That's in Ontario, for those of you who don't speak metric. Mr. Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everybody. It's already snowing. We have 4 feet of snow outside the window right now.
So full of shit.
Do you even have summer?
It's like, can you hear the barking? That's the sled dogs wanting
That's
to
the
eat.
sled dogs wanting to be fed. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Yes.
Or
He
they
is-
eat each other.
He has 2 sled dogs. One's named Tesla. The other is named Model 3.
So not right. That is so not right.
Did you get all-wheel drive in yours, Mark? You're going to need it.
Yeah,
All-wheel
all-wheel
drive.
drive. Yeah,
Yeah.
and those extra monster tires.
Yeah, but not the sexy wheels. Oh,
They don't make those in 40-inch tires.
they don't indeed. They don't indeed. So our first story of the week is kind of me in my usual sort of bitching slot, but maybe not. I don't know. Kind of. This right here. Look at that. Isn't that exciting?
That looks very complicated.
Look how fun this is. Look
Yeah.
at this.
Is that the diverging diamond?
That is.
Exactly.
Mr. Guzik, that is actually up for a Road Design Award, American
We have one of those.
Transportation
Not
Awards,
far from here.
the Diverging Diamond. Yes. And it is exciting. It is efficient and it is expensive.
It does look like an accident waiting to happen, though.
But it's
Although
not. That's
the
the
data
thing.
says they're a lot safer.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they are many times safer than
How
the
many of
standard
these are in
Cloverleaf.
Florida?
2.
There's nothing you can do to fix Florida. That's just a,
Well, that is true.
saying.
Although
Can't
it
fix
does,
stupid, Russell.
I'm just
But it does
saying.
seem
there
more
goes Florida.
ponds.
We lost some more viewers.
I got nothing other than, it should be safer. It is supposed to make traffic move slower. And of course, it costs millions and millions of dollars. And we spent this money to do this rather than maybe do something to get cars off the road so that you wouldn't need to have this exceptionally beautiful yet complicated way of moving traffic back and forth. And that's really the source of my complaint here. I'm glad that everybody in Florida is going to be able to drive more efficiently and more safely. But I wish that maybe instead of spending all that money on a really cool potential American Transportation Award, that we'd spent the money on maybe getting some of those cars off the road and solving the problem in a different direction.
Yeah, I have a coworker who's here from China, and she was talking about how much more efficient the transportation systems are in China. And when you have that many people, you have to be efficient. So they've got 20 subway lines, and you can get around the city pretty easily without having a car. And
You mean
That's just-
public transportation is more efficient?
public transportation, and then they have their own version of Uber that you can use for the last mile solutions.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't think this is We've seen this over and
And
over
they
again.
have really safe plastic electric cars for people.
Well, they go slower there, right?
Yeah, and you don't need a license to operate them.
Yeah, whatever. Oh, there could be no problem with that. I mean, certainly our licensed motorists here in America, they're all wonderful, safe, and conscientious drivers.
So what would we do to get some of these people off of the road?
Well, I mean, maybe we could have put some of that money into mass transit infrastructure, light rail lines, expanded bus service, which, by the way, in Florida, bus service. Having lived there, having lived there for a number of years, at least in Tampa, the mass transit is shitty. So,
That's the technical description.
that is the academic description. That was in my PhD dissertation, and if you argue with me about it, I will deny everything.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but this is
Truly
America. We want to have our cars. That represents freedom.
I can't argue against that, and I get it. And the other side of it is, it's easy to talk about mass transit, but in decentralized suburban environments, mass transit isn't always a good solution.
Right. Yeah, that's one of those. That's a great idea for everybody else, but not me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And everybody likes to drive. Everybody wants to sit in the car and sing or drink coffee or listen to audiobooks or do whatever they do. No, not many people see the advantage of riding on mass transit. It's culturally, we have done everything we can to stigmatize mass transit in this country.
And we've done it well.
Yes, we have exceeded.
We've been
our
successful.
expectations.
We've
Yes,
done our
Yes.
job.
and I think you're right. It is stigma. People think riding the bus means you're poor. People think riding the train means you can't afford to have a car. And yeah, that's just what people believe.
There you go.
I did read an article, by the way. We've kind of made fun of the Tata on the podcast before, the Tata Nano. It was, the incredibly small car. It sold for 1 lakh in India. It was the most affordable car. They stopped making it recently. Sales were slumping, and in fact, Tata had reported that sales had never met expectation. They expected people to just suck these things up because it's an affordable car. It was one of the cheapest cars out there, and
You
it was
didn't
safe.
say suck the tatas, did you?
Yes, yes, I did. But what they failed to take into consideration, they were trying to get people off scooters and make them proud to be in a car. What they failed to take into consideration is that people were not proud to be in what was
The shittiest car.
ever made. I didn't say shitty. The cheapest car
Right.
that you could buy, and that was the perception. Regardless of how
a
good,
scooter-
how well they made the car, people knew
Yeah.
they were cheap.
Yeah, you can lane split in a scooter and get around stuff that you can't do in a car. So people who are on scooters, they were like, okay, I can go to this cheap car. It's not a prestige thing, and it doubles my commute time. I don't want that.
Well,
And I
but
can't park on
also,
the sidewalk and drive
Right,
on the
but-
sidewalk.
but you've seen videos of India where people will have 5 people on a scooter.
I got nothing. Yeah, scooters take up less space. Guess 5 solo drivers on scooters take up less space than 5 solo drivers in automobiles.
Or 5 people on one scooter. Either way.
Or 5 people on one scooter, which you're allowed to
And they
do.
can drive on the sidewalk on the scooter.
Sure, why not? Why not?
Maybe not recommended.
Maybe not. Our next story is all about Audi.
So Audi had been touting the e-tron, and they're, hey, we're coming out with the e-tron, and then they announced
Isn't
the
it a Tesla
e-tron,
killer?
and they said it's going to be great, and it's going to be this, and blah 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 blah. Inside EVs is now reporting that Audi is going to be
Take
what
that
they
one.
called. Am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay.
We're just talking over you. Go ahead.
So what they were saying is Audi is planning on being very cautious with the e-tron, and basically what it comes down to is the e-tron is not going to show up on the dealers' lots and just be available for purchase. Instead, people are going to have to go to the dealers and special order the e-tron as an option, put $1,000 down deposit, and then wait as the car is custom made for them. And they've said that the wait times will be dependent on demand. So it could be months or years when people actually get their e-trons.
So that's their own version of production hell?
I guess so.
This is when we talked about the e-tron last week. I had said, Audi's been like, I was kind of disappointed in Audi because they've been teasing this car for a couple of years, and they finally release it, do the debut, and turns out it's not going to be in production until later next year, maybe the middle of next year. And then it turns out that they're pulling this bullshit with give us a deposit and we're not going to make our dealers carry it. What a disappointment. What a sham. What a surprise. Audi, you're number one.
Yeah. Yes.
That's all I got.
Yeah. No, exactly.
I realize that my gesture isn't helpful, but it's just, it's infuriating when all they want to do is grab attention and then go, oh yeah, we didn't really mean it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
they
like
want
they're
the halo effect
purposely trying to make it fail. Like they're pulling out all the stops to see if they can make it more difficult than it's worth for anyone to order a car, and then they wonder why it failed. Like it's crazy.
Right. We've seen this compliance behavior before. It's nothing new. It's sad. It's really sad.
And it certainly doesn't.
Well, it doesn't help the market because if they had one in every dealer, people could test drive and go, wow, this is cool. I want to order one.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true.
But when they go to the dealers, I want to buy an e-tron. They go, oh, well, you got to get in line, but you can drive today in this gas one.
Yeah.
And they say, how long is the line? And they're like, well, we don't really know.
And you could drive it home today.
Right. Yeah.
And we get a dealer incentive. So you really don't want that e-tron. It's stupid. Then Audi will go, nobody wanted it.
Yeah.
See, we knew all along.
We were right. Yeah, we were right all along.
See, Tesla, I told you no one buys plug-ins.
Right. So this is the kind of behavior when I hear these stories about, as soon as Toyota or VW or whoever decides to start making EVs, they're going to be able to make them in mass quantities and just drown Tesla out of the market. No, they're not. They have a culture that is not ready for this switch, and it's going to be a long, slow process.
Yeah.
Lots of runway for Tesla. Well, you disagree with this article that's in your show? Okay.
No. With one part of your point, Patrick, I think you're right. You're 95% right, but I think you spun it in a way that I disagree with, and that is, there's no question in my mind that Toyota or Ford or GM could bury Tesla production-wise. No doubt in my mind. Will they actually do it? I agree with you. I don't know. I doubt it. And so far, the evidence is to the negative. But the idea that companies that efficiently and competently manufacture a lot of cars can't beat Tesla at that game is, to me, very, very wishful thinking. And this is a company that can't get car carriers to deliver their cars. Okay?
But that's just part of the equation. It's not all of it.
No.
The part of it is, yes, manufacturing. You are correct. They know how to crank out cars, and they've been doing it for 100 years.
Right.
But they've got to change the whole culture and the sales side and the support side. And
figure out that having a car that you have to order on a form and wait and put down $1,000 and discover that you're on a list that you don't know how long. That's the culture that has to change for them, and that is the hump they got to get over.
Yes,
and it
is nearly insurmountable.
Right. Yeah, and I agree that there's going to be a lot of similarities in manufacturing, and there's a lot of skills they have that would be great at this. But if they're not willing to do it, it doesn't matter.
Yes, I agree. I absolutely, Patrick. I think the myth, though, that Tesla has some sort of unbeatable advantage in manufacturing cars is really, really not accurate.
They have
Right.
a huge.
They've got a head
That
start
wasn't
on
my
batteries and stuff, but
Yeah, that's true. But that wasn't even my point. My point was that people just look at the production capacity of the legacy automakers and say, oh, therefore Tesla is going to fail.
No,
And
no, no.
I'm
no.
saying that there's a big section in between that needs to be overcome, because being capable of it and being willing are two totally different things. And so you can't just look at the capability and say, therefore there's Tesla will die. That's a ridiculous statement.
I agree. I agree with you. I don't think any of them have the wherewithal to take Tesla out at this point. I think if somebody did, they could hurt Tesla significantly, but no one cares. No one wants that. And whatever their reasons are, you know.
And Tesla's not a huge percentage of the market today. And they don't need to be a huge percent. They just need a significant share to stay viable. But anyway.
I agree. Patrick, we agree.
At least 95%.
Isn't Tesla outselling BMW sedans?
They are, yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's pretty impressive.
Yep.
Yeah. Although BMW doesn't seem that concerned about it. Oddly enough.
There's been little reports from the BMW side, correct?
Yeah. For our next story, let's go to Tony Schaefer.
Wait, what? Which one? The Echo? That's Mark.
Oh, no. I thought it was the bikes.
Oh, are we doing
Am
the
I
bikes?
doing that? No, I'm.
No, okay. I had the order. I just had the order incorrect. So yeah, Kyle Rachmal, I don't know,
I got me.
tweeted out anyway that the recommendation to increase the number of jump bikes in the San Francisco area, and he points out that the average jump bike trip in the San Francisco area is 2.6 miles. The average Uber trip is 3.3 miles. And so what he's getting at is what we call the golden, well, not what we call, but what is called the golden mile, or when people just need to make very short trips in a tight urban area. And so the idea is by increasing the number of available rental bikes, we could get cars off of the roads by putting more people on bikes instead of putting them into Ubers and Lyfts and taxis and other things.
Sounds like a great idea, as long as the city has good bike lane support.
So how about they make a foldable bike that fits into the Uber, so you can get close and then ride the last mile on the bike?
If you're in an Uber, why would you do that?
I don't know. Because there's too much traffic on the road.
So he's got a map here and the stats, and showing the area where the bikes are available. Yeah, so again, recommending that they make more bikes available so they could do this. But I mean, look at this. When you look at 2,200 trips per weekday, that's a lot of people on bikes.
Mm-hmm.
38,000 unique users, 850,000 miles traveled. I mean, you put people on bikes.
And are these e-bikes or pedal bikes?
Russell, do you know?
You know what? I don't know. That's a really good question, Paul.
Because in San Francisco, probably bikes with all the hills.
Yeah, I'm assuming that they're e-bikes. That's my assumption, but you know what? I honestly don't know.
They better be in San Francisco.
And I think the reason I wanted to talk about this is we talk about the last mile, and it's a huge problem, right? Oh, I'd take the train, but how do I get home? How do I get home from the train?
Right.
So I just looked them up, jump bikes, on Wikipedia, and it says that they are dockless electric bikes.
Cool.
Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate that.
Yeah, great.
So, here we have examples of cities that are doing things. Now, again, it works in San Francisco. It won't work in Kansas. Well, actually, this would work in Kansas. It could happen, and there are solutions. Now, I in the show notes I put like this would only work regionally. Guess where it's not going to work? Well, maybe Kansas, maybe
North Dakota.
Yeah, it's not going to work in winter states. Nobody's going to want to ride a bike or a scooter in January, and I don't blame them.
In Minnesota.
Right.
Minnesota,
Yeah.
But there are lots of people in the warmer states who could use this and get a lot of cars off the road.
Yes, it's not, there are no silver bullets. I think we've said that many times. Everything is use case based, and something that works for you today might not work for you tomorrow. But if all you're doing is taking the train into the city and then you have a 2-mile bike ride to the office, and then you do it again at the end of the day, and maybe you have a messenger bag over your shoulder, okay, great, take a bike. Now, if you're going to go to Trader Joe's and you're going to buy $100 worth of groceries and you have 7 grocery bags, oh, and by the way, the kids are with you, yeah, that's probably not. And if you're using that argument, that's just what is it, absurdium? So, yeah.
I agree.
Or maybe that's part of the solution with those scooters, where they're now becoming popular, where they are littering the sidewalks, and people can pick one up. They're dockless, and electric scooter can take you around. But again, it depends, as Tony says, on your use case.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're entering a new era here where we have micro mobility as a service, sharing. It's there's a lot of new options, and I think a lot of things still need to be figured out. It'd be really cool to see cities that are embracing this. For example, we have the Tillicum Bridge here in Portland, and the bridge allows pedestrians, bikes, and the light rail, and that's it. No cars on that bridge at all, and that's awesome. So if you want to walk across the bridge, that's the one you take because you don't have to
scooters.
Traffic. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the bike lane would allow scooters. I don't know if they've made a ruling on that or not.
In your city, Patrick, are the scooters prevalent at all?
Oh yeah, we've got Lime and Bird here.
The thing that I think is important here is that we're seeing the car as the only mobility tool in the United States, hopefully going away a little bit. We're seeing that there are other tools that are right for some trips, not every trip, not every place, but there's a lot of other solutions that will enhance our lives, enhance our traveling, and make our communities better. That's just my opinion.
Right. And like I said, and like we've always said, there's no silver bullet. There's no one solution.
Right. And some of them will make things better, but then they could have unintended consequences and could make some things worse. We've heard about that with the scooters, like Mark mentioned, them just polluting sidewalks or being piled up in front of doors, in front of buildings. And so you have to be smart about it. And we talked about how some of them are just rushing out and ignoring the rules, and others are trying to go to cities where they're wanted and being respectful. And so it's a little bit of Wild West right now.
It is. But those are all problems that we can solve relatively easily. And again, keep in mind all of the things we do for automobiles to provide parking for them and space for them and lane access and all of that. And we do nothing, almost nothing for bicycles and nothing for scooters. So there's a reason they're all over the sidewalks, because we haven't bothered. We talked about this, I don't know, last week before. If you just took one parking place on every block, and said, this is where the scooters go.
Yep.
Problem solved.
Right. Make every 5th block downtown for no cars. Just these other solutions.
That would be nice too.
Scooters and bikes and whatever.
Yeah, they're really fun. If you haven't ridden one, I want to recommend it. The little electric scooters are a blast. Speaking of scooters and stuff, here in California, our governor, Jerry Brown, just signed a bill on Wednesday, Assembly Bill 2989, that said that if you're over 18, you don't need to wear a helmet on these scooters. Yay! Yay, brain injuries. I don't know.
don't need to and shouldn't are not the same.
Yeah.
So be careful.
If you want to wear a helmet, wear a helmet. If you don't,
Right.
this is one of the few helmet laws or non-helmet laws that I'm actually going to support. I'm a helmet on my motorcycle guy. I get it. On my scooter, I wear a helmet. But on a scooter, on a little electric scooter that is driving on sidewalks and on little curbs that's not going above 25 miles an hour, you know what? What the hell? Just take a chance.
You know, and what's interesting is there is another bill, 2989 Assembly bill, that would allow e-scooters to be on streets up to 35 miles per hour.
Well, there you go.
So you now are not wearing a helmet, and your speed goes up 50%.
Well, you can still wear a helmet if you want.
No, you get fined now.
Yeah, you have to drive 35 miles an hour without a helmet. I think that's
it's the second part of the ordinance is now you get fined.
Cops stop you, write your ticket for being uncool.
yes.
This is California. We want tourism. Take that off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're a big dork. What are you trying to do?
You have to go to cool classes. And,
Well, speaking of stuff that isn't cool, there's a little bit of history this week. A container ship, and for those of you who don't know what a container ship is, watch another show. No, container ships are
It's a
these
big
large
ship
ships
that holds containers.
that holds containers, and by containers we mean the big trailers that get pulled by semi trucks, get stacked on these things, hundreds of them in some cases, and that's how your stuff gets from Asia to Walmart. Containers and lots of other places. So container ships are the way we ship things that are produced all over the world. For the first time, one has gone through the Arctic Circle.
Yeah, I went by my place just the other day.
Did it? You're not up that far.
Shoot it with a paintball gun when it goes by.
yeah.
The Venta Maersk. I'm not good on that, but Maersk is a huge container ship line. Just left the Russian port of Vladivostok. It's north of Japan and is going through the Arctic Ocean to Germany. Obviously, that's a very short route. And why can they do it?
Because all the ice melted.
Yeah, because there isn't that much ice there. So it's not that dangerous. So, yay, we have a new shipping route. Yay.
Yeah.
Cheers, world. Good for you.
Those things are
Cheers
horribly
with the unicorn
polluting, so- it's
What?
it's
Come on. You don't recognize this?
That's the Toyota Mirai Unicorn Cup.
Thank you.
oh. I
Mark,
was going to say, have
God,
you
it
had that
is.
since 1978?
Mark Coughlin wins the Meta Award. This is my Toyota Mirai. I'm drinking what's coming out of the exhaust.
Yeah, is that
pipe.
still the
Yes.
H2O that came out of the exhaust?
I saved it. Put a little plastic over it in the fridge
Yeah.
because, it's special water.
Mhm.
That's right.
So I
Thank
pulled
you,
up a
Mark.
map here
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
showing where it left from Russia
Oh.
somewhere, and it's taking
Vladivostok.
this route, over to Germany. But the article points out that normally it would have had to, anything coming out of Russia would have had to get to Germany, would have had to either swing all the way around
Right.
the south and then come up this way, or there was the coming around this way to the Panama Canal, all the way on literally the other side of the globe, come around the North Atlantic, and then come into Germany.
Hey, make no mistake, that Arctic ice is pesky.
It does
know?
tend to get in the way.
It gets in the way.
Yes.
In a world without icy poles, there's all sorts of things we can do. The problem is, without the icy poles, things get a little ugly on some other levels. So
Yeah.
Right.
maybe the convenience in shipping isn't the most important thing to consider there.
Yeah.
Hey, but with the shorter route, they're going to be polluting less. So there's a plus.
See?
Sure.
There we go. I knew there was a good way to end that.
Mhm. Yeah, thank-
Real briefly, we can't really access the article, unfortunately. I could, but there was an interesting article in the Wall Street Journal this week about people with money spending tons of money buying old license plates so that they can put them on their cars because apparently it's prestigious if you have a low number plate. I don't know what the fuck any of that means, but I want you to understand that people are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a license plate that will enhance their lack of genitals or something. I have no idea what it is. But
I got a picture here of this guy.
Oh, don't pick on dude, because he definitely ain't packing anything.
Yeah,
there's a guy. He's got low number plates, and he's
but he's in Wyoming. There's like 513 people in Wyoming.
Right.
Those are actually high number plates.
Yeah.
This is the before picture.
Right. There was and the example, it's still in the text that we can read, is a 2003 Mercedes station wagon fetched $420,000 at a Delaware auction last month. $6,800 for the car, $410 for the license plate.
Wow.
Someone paid almost $500,000 for a Delaware plate that said number 20 on it. I guess when you just have so much fucking money, you don't know what to do with it. This is what you do?
No,
hey, well, good. They're putting it in the economy, and somebody with more brains will do something better with it, I hope.
And when does that happen? Because that hasn't happened much yet, it seems. But
in Oklahoma.
I like your very positive outlook, Patrick. Thank you so much for that.
So I'm still presenting, right?
Are you? Well,
yeah.
I see the license plates.
Yes, you are. Okay. Hey, that's me. And everybody wanted to see me. Super interesting article in Bloomberg Business Week this week about Toyota and how Toyota is investing $4 billion in robotics and AI research. A good deal of it, they focus on a guy named John Leonard at MIT that is doing AI and, again, robotics research.
Can they first have them finish their home or their infotainment systems in the cars first?
Oh, God. This is sort of the problem with the competition, though, right? Like, everybody's running for this thing. This AV autonomous, this automated, because that's the grail that everybody's chasing now. It's a good question, Paul, right? Just fix in tune, for God's sakes.
or
they make the radio intuitive.
The alternate to that is maybe they think it's already finished.
Yeah, they do. They do, sadly. So back to the story. Interesting story. I encourage you to read it. The thing about this is Toyota's taking a little bit different approach. They are working on a system called Guardian that is specifically not autonomous. It is a driver assist system. The idea is to make a car that is impossible to crash, according to Toyota, and to do it, though, by augmenting these safety systems that they already have and coming up with different ones, not to make it an autonomous vehicle.
So hang on, they're not billing it as autopilot?
They are not billing it as autopilot. Someone has to be driving these vehicles.
It's called manual pilot.
They're doing little autopilot-y things like they talk about the e-pallet thing. We talked about that for the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo. It's a silly little van thing that's autonomous. I'm sure it's going to run on some travel, on some programmed route, and whatever, who cares? But again, I think the interesting thing here is that they're working specifically on systems to enhance them for drivers, which is what I have been whining about for a couple of years. Please, for the love of God, don't worry about taking people out of seats. Just make it safer.
Have the car do some of the thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
nice level 3 system sounds like a great place to start.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except this guy's car has no wheels on it, or at least no front wheels.
Yeah, really. That's got to be really hard to drive.
Well, no, I
Especially
think
in
that makes it
Boston.
even safer.
The roads are
Yeah,
horrible.
that doesn't make it safer because it can't go on the road.
Mm.
Right. See, you can't crash a car that won't go on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, one of the things that I'd really like is with the autopilot right now, if you steer, it disengages, but you can press the accelerator and that doesn't disengage autopilot in Tesla's cars. So I would like to be able to leave autopilot on, but then when I want to do something a little different, be able to take over without re-engaging it, just let it. I'll move to whatever part of the lane I'd like to be in for whatever reason, and then it just, when I let go, it takes back. That would be a whole lot better to hand off back and forth without this. It'd be really cool if it was easier to do that.
So maybe
If you
like
want that, you should tweet it. Hey, Elon.
Yeah.
So you're speaking about like a resume option?
No, just if I've turned it on, and then you can move the wheel a little bit without it disengaging. But I would like to be able to do something like change lanes or take a turn, and then unless I specifically disengage it, it just, once I'm not applying force to the wheel, it is driving. That would just be a whole lot easier way to go back and forth than what they have now, where when you do something, it turns off, and then you have to turn it back on. It'd be nice if it just stayed on, and when you stop applying force, it takes back over. Okay. I'll tweet Elon and see if I get what I'm asking for.
You should, yeah.
Yeah.
I that's all I got on that.
Yeah. I'm just agreeing with you guys that supplemental safety is just as good. And if Toyota is going to play the slow, they're not jumping all in and they're going to do increments, then yeah.
There you go. Yep. I think that's a good plan. Thank you, Tony.
Just make it safer.
Well, my calm, happy demeanor couldn't last for very long. The next story, look at Mark's already preemptively laughing.
Your calm exterior is about to explode.
Here's something you want to see, Russell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. There's P.T. Barnum himself. And yes, there's one born every minute. The really interesting to see this pop up on CNBC. Everybody will remember back in 2016 how Elon made a big deal about Solar Roof and how it was going to last forever and how it was going to be amazing and how everybody was going to get it and give me your $1,000.
12 cents and
your $1,000 deposit. And it's going to be cheaper than a regular roof. Turns out, all of that was bullshit. Complete and total bullshit. How funny is that, right? Turns out they haven't installed hundreds, as Elon has said. They've installed maybe 6. Turns out that, they're not even really sure how they're putting it together. Turns out that the few that they've installed, the one person they talked to, that roof cost, are you ready? $100,000.
Yikes.
That's the same as a regular roof.
Yeah, that's the same. If you put a $10 bill under every, that is the same as a $10 bill, maybe a $50 bill. There is no one. Well, I don't know. Maybe we all do. Tony, are you okay? You look like
I
you
was
sneeze there or something. Oh, no. There is probably no one, and maybe all of us, maybe I'm wrong here, but on this panel that wants really good solar, really cool solar, especially stuff like Solar Roof, to be true and to be good and to be out there and for everybody to have it. I would love that. What pisses me off is the same thing here that pisses me off when a car company comes in and says, we're going to make a magic flying car. It's going to have 3 wheels. It's going to be $9,000. You're going to see it in 18 months. And then everybody goes, oh, that's all bullshit. All this green tech stuff is bullshit. And this is what Elon Musk is doing. He's peeing in the pool of solar, which already is honestly a pretty ugly business. He doesn't need to do this. Well, yes, he does. But Suffice to say, as it turns out, 2 years later, Tesla's not installing these things. They say they're going to scale up later this year, which I'd like to say they've said for the last 2 years.
There's not a lot of this year left.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, not a lot of this year. You know, the only thing I can say about this article that's sort of annoying, and it's one little tiny quibble, is the one person who spent $100K on his roof says that normally his power bill was $4 or $450. He said the last one was $40, and they kind of went, well, why was it $40? Like, dude, that's an order of magnitude decrease. That's awesome. Okay. Now it's not going to pay for his $100,000 roof, but it's still very cool. What can we do to get Elon to stop this?
If you expect, if you're surprised that some announcement from Musk is late and expensive, then you have not been following him very closely. This is kind of par for the course. What he puts out there is a vision for a better future, and then makes very optimistic timelines, and they're rarely met. So I don't think it's bullshit like you portrayed it. I think it's just not as easy as they thought. I still think it's the right direction. I still think they're going to have a really cool product at some point.
I think we're just going to disagree on that, Patrick.
I'm fine with him describing a better future. I'm fine with him saying we're working on this. I'm fine with him saying we're going to work the kinks out and we'll roll it out when we're confident that everything is perfect. I'm happy with that. I get disappointed when someone promises a timeline and they fail to meet it.
Right. And that's what he's known for.
Right.
Yeah, but at some point, don't you hold him accountable for that, Patrick? I mean, I get it. Like, anybody who knows Elon knows he's full of shit. But
well,
don't you get to call him out for it?
Yeah, go ahead. But I don't see, full of shit implies that he's BSing and it was all just a sham.
Yes.
So and that's where we disagree. I think this is a real product. They're really working on it. They really will.
Elon believes it, so it's true.
It's just a matter of when. And what you can't trust is his estimates of timelines. What you can trust is the product vision of what they're going to eventually deliver. Maybe it'll be 3 years late, but it'll be there.
But when you're the CEO of a company and you have people banking on what you say, you should be more responsible with what you say and not just put in your annual report. Oh, well, it's Elon and you know how he can be.
Is that what it says in the Tesla report?
Yeah.
It says anything here mentioned, well, just remember it's Elon. So
the numbers are true, the timelines are not.
Right.
Let's also be realistic. This is a double standard. We wouldn't put up with this bullshit from anybody else. No one. No other car company is going to come out and go, oh, we're going to do this. And then 3 years later, well, we didn't really do it, but we're going to do it soon. Thanks for the deposits.
Future.
No real car company.
The VW electric bus. I mean, how many times have they touted that out? And
how many times have we ripped them a new one?
Right.
But yeah,
right. I guess the difference is Tesla is delivering electric cars. Today, Tesla is delivering solar panels. And these are things that they're promising to improve about them. It's not like, oh, we're going to totally change direction. And, oh, wait, we're not going to. We're going to keep shipping these polluting things with tailpipes for another 3 years. That's the difference, in my opinion.
I have no argument with that.
No, I admit that they are doing that now. And I would have loved my professors much more if they would have said, oh, you turned in your assignment 3 weeks late. That's okay. You still get 100%.
Or you can just drop out of Stanford. Then you don't have to turn them in at all.
Well, there is that. But there is a difference between, well, I'm doing it now. And yeah, I know I said I would have gotten to it last year, but I didn't get to it until this year. That's the only part. That's the only part we're talking about. We're not talking about whether or not Tesla is redefining what a car is and how people get around and making electric vehicles sexy. We're not arguing that point. We're arguing the fact that he makes promises based on timelines and misses every single one of them. That's it. That's the only part that we're arguing about.
Right.
Well, and it's a public company, and any other public company that missed every single timeline goal would be like their stock would tank.
Yeah. I do think that home energy is a little different, Patrick. And I think the first disappointment maybe that you're going to feel in Tesla is going to be what they're doing to home energy. Yeah.
So I do have, to be clear, I have Solar City panels on my roof right now. Mm-hmm. And Solar City was bought by Tesla. So now I get a monthly bill from Tesla Energy. And just so everybody knows where I sit on this, even though I'm saying, yeah, there are problems, I am a customer.
And I used to sell Tesla home energy products.
Right.
So,
yep.
You know, I mean, I'm coming from that, somebody who definitely believes in the mission, but is disappointed when the mission gets lost, because I think that hurts all of it. I think that pollutes all the perception of those products. And I hope you get your Powerwall soon.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of pollution, interestingly, we over the last few years have reported several times on solar roadways, right? These are the cool roadways that have solar panels built into them. Sometimes they have LEDs built into them, and it's textured surfaces, and it's really cool new materials, and it's a really fun idea. Like, wow, wouldn't this be great if this works? Green Tech Media published a story yesterday and says that in the handful of solar roadway projects that they looked at, turns out doesn't really work very well, which happens. Turns out that some of the panels are just really expensive and don't generate that much electricity. Some of the panels or some of the roadways, the LED feature lighting that they put in sucks up most of the power that the solar panels generate. It doesn't appear from this handful of projects that it's a super viable way of doing things. Okay.
And that's why it was a trial period, because they wanted to know how they would work in the real world.
Poorly.
Well, now we know. Now we know what the obstacles are. Now we know, the efficiencies, and hopefully they can take this. And
or we could go back to what we original thought, which was you put them up beside the solar or the roadways, and you just put them on poles that face the sun, and it collects energy along the side of the road.
See?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we were clear when we first talked about these. If you can do math, then you knew what this was going to result in. And it's nowhere near as efficient as putting them on your roof.
Say math or math?
Yeah, if you can do math,
you can figure it out too. Yeah.
Yeah. When we have every rooftop covered, then this is something we should start looking at. But we are so far from there that we have a lot of great places that we can put solar panels where they'll work wonderfully without worrying about roads yet. Now, I would love to see solar roads, but there's a lot of problems, and we have other solutions where we don't have all those problems. Let's worry about that first.
I agree with Patrick. Is that twice?
It had to happen once. Yeah, okay, twice.
I agree. No, I mean, I also want to say, like, I was excited about these tests, and it's cool. But guess what? Not everything you test works, and that's fine. And I think some of the tests were a little harebrained, but whatever. It's still something you try, because that's how you make these improvements. So, yeah.
Yeah, I always think about venture capitalists who talk about investing in 10 projects and hoping that 3 or 4 of them actually pan out.
Right.
Some of them are going to be duds, but hey, guess what? We tried it. And here's what we learned.
For what might be our final story, I just have a picture.
Oh, yeah. I know somebody who drives that.
Do you really? I know
Yeah.
somebody who had one in his garage that wouldn't drive it.
Why is it outside?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Did someone steal it?
how many weeks have we had this now?
Oh, God, I
2 or
don't
3
know.
weeks. And it now has 30 miles on it.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Right. So there it is with the tinted windows and the paint protection film. So now it's ready for prime time. It becomes a daily driver tomorrow.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And just so we're clear, this is your wife's car, right? You're driving the
Correct.
X.
Yep. That's my X over there on the right.
Oh, I didn't even. Oh, look at that.
Yep.
Same blue.
Same blue. She
You
picked
guys
out
have-
all the colors for
Uh,
both of them.
You guys have
And I was like,
matching cars.
I'm getting a Tesla. I don't care what color it is.
Once again, I agree with you, Patrick.
Mhm.
That's beautiful. Well, congratulations. I'm glad that finally
Thank
that's finally a reality for you. Mark Coughlin.
I've got one little thing I can
See?
share if you really push me to it. Absolutely.
I push.
I wanted to show a building that's being built. It has been built in Waterloo, Ontario. That is the first of its kind. This is a net zero building.
Nice.
It's got enough solar panels in the parking lot and on top of the roof to allow this 3-story office building to run basically independent of the grid, although it is connected to the grid. So it's a net zero building. It produces as much energy as it is used inside the building
Wow.
with the solar panels. So as we were talking in the last story about good places to put solar, a parking lot is an ideal spot to put solar. And this particular project also has teamed up with, I believe it's 32 charge ports underneath the solar panels. So people who bring their electric cars to work can plug them in, collect a charge during work hours, and leave with a full electron tank.
and
So
does that net zero include heating in the winter?
It does. Yeah,
Wow.
it's overall.
Wow. Where are they?
Waterloo, Ontario.
Wow.
So do the
That's up
do
near the Arctic Circle, right?
That's just
Yeah.
south. Yes.
I hear it's really warm there now.
do the parking spots have plugs for the engine block heaters for your Teslas?
No, there's no engine block heaters required at all.
But I'm sure there are a few electric car drivers who have used those plugs for not an engine block.
That's right. That's right. And the other bonus is I believe it's about 1.5 of the panels have electric car chargers underneath. The rest do not have anything. But the nice thing about the ones that don't have anything is that those solar panels also provide shade for those cars in the summer.
Yep.
So you've
And
got
keep the snow off in the winter.
and they keep the snow off in the winter. So it's a win-win for everybody that is able to park underneath them, whether you need a charge or do not.
Wow.
Very neat.
So this is called the Evolve 1 building. You can look it up on the internet by typing EVOLV and the numeral 1. And actually, this being the first net zero building, they have plans right across the street in this green area for a phase 2 that they're going to put in with the same type of a building. So I hope they're successful. I hope they can rent out all of their space, and I hope that phase 2 breaks ground shortly.
Yay.
Yeah,
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Hey, solar does work.
Yep.
It does.
Even in Canada.
You don't
Absolutely.
you don't even have to have tiles. I've skipped a story, and my apologies. And I also have forgotten who was going to do this. Was it me or was
Mark.
I was going
Mark.
to do it. Yeah.
Okay, Mark, then finish us off with this one, boy, because I do.
This is a quick one. Amazon has released a new auto assistant called Eco Auto. It's a $50 credit card size box that will sit on your dashboard and bring Alexa into your car. So now you can, as the article says, you can order toilet paper from your car. but this is kind of an interesting article where they talk about the broken infotainment system, which we touched upon earlier with Toyota and others. That there's so many different car manufacturers trying to scramble to find the proper thing to have in the car, whether it's home based that they built it themselves, or whether they're using Android Auto or CarPlay. Many different auto manufacturers are struggling with what they need to put into the car to help the owners. And this, I don't know if this is the solution. Does anyone in the panel use Alexa at home now?
Yeah, we have one. Yep. Okay.
Would you find it useful to be able to communicate with Alexa in the car?
So I tried this when I saw this was coming out. I was like, hey, well, I have the Alexa app on my phone now. What would this do that the app doesn't do? So the app, when you ask for directions, it just pulls up Google Maps. So it actually has a screen and gives you turn-by-turn directions with Google. I guess this is going to do it by voice. And you can play music. So you could say, Alexa, play Ride the Lightning, and it'll play songs that you want to play. So that part's cool. And so I was trying the directions. I mounted it. I opened the app, said, Alexa, navigate to Arenco Tap House. And it said, navigating to Broken Arrow Tap House in New Mexico.
A long drive from here.
Yeah. So instead of going, 5 blocks, it was taking me 1,400 miles.
Yeah, that's not so good.
No. So it still needs a little work. But
that artificial unintelligence? Or?
Artificial stupidity. We have plenty of natural stupidity. They don't need to augment that.
Yeah, so it's, I don't know, it's something that's going to obviously interact with you audio wise, but there's no screen with it. It's not connected to any type of visual besides the the light up lights that are on it that can indicate obviously that it's on, or it's listening, or it has comprehended something or is working on something. But I don't know. I find this kind of I don't know where they're going with it.
Well, okay, so there's a lot of things you could do right now. With the Echoes, you can drop in on somebody else that has an Echo. So if your family, if you have an Echo at home, you can just tap it and say, drop in on the downstairs Echo, and then you're broadcasting to your house, so you could talk to your family at home. And the other thing that you could do is, if you have your thermostat or your lights or whatever hooked up, or a Ring doorbell, you could do all kinds of things before you got home. And you could do this all while you're driving just by talking to it, which is nice and convenient and hands-free. So you could say, turn up the thermostat to whatever, because you're driving home. Hot tub. Yeah. So anything that you can automate at home with their ecosystem for the Echo, you can do now while you're in your car. And being able to do the messaging or talking to your friends and family that have these also, it's pretty handy.
But is that also something that you could do through the app on your phone?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, where does it get the data?
I think it connects to your phone via Bluetooth, and you have to have the app to make it connect, but I'm not sure. Mark, you mentioned that they're $50. If you go to their website today and you sign up for the beta program, it's only $25.
Only $25.
You get selected for that. Yeah, but that's by invitation only. And anyway, I asked to be in the beta. We'll see if I get in. If I am, then I'll give you guys a full report. Unless, of course, that $25 discount comes with an NDA, and if it does, I'm totally willing to break it for $25.
So here's my thing, and I'm not one of those like, oh my God, I'm so afraid of everything in the internet taking over, because I live online. My business is promoted online. My address, my phone, you know what I mean? Like I live fairly publicly. That said, I don't have one of these devices as cool as they are because I have friends that have them, and it's like, Alexa, I want you to play Radiohead Creep, and then boom, plays it. Turn it up louder. Yay, that's magic. I love that. But do I always want a microphone on everywhere I go?
If you carry a cell phone, you have one.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I'm just, all I'm saying is look, I don't know if this microphone's on all the time. Maybe it is. Could be. It wouldn't surprise me, but you know what I mean? Like, I know if I go, hey, Siri, it hears me. So the question again is like, Patrick, you have these. Privacy, not a big deal. You're all good with it.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It certainly is a concern, but the tech is fun and I want to play with it, so I'm willing to take that chance.
Yeah. And I mean, clearly this is Amazon trying to stay viable in the car and collect some car data that who knows what they're going to do with. You know, it's not just up to Google and a few others to collect data while you're driving. No, Amazon wants to get into it too. So now they know where you are and how fast you're going and what you're talking about and all of that.
Right. And they can use that to market to you better. Sad but true.
Right.
And and if you are driving and you think of, hey, I want to buy something, you can put it on your shopping list. And in fact, with Amazon now, you could even order dinner on the way home and meet the delivery guy at your front door.
See,
Yeah.
And and you could say I'm hungry. What's on the way? And it could give you a list of restaurants between where you are and where you're going.
Yeah, so we talked about
Yeah.
how horrible the infotainment systems are in cars.
Yeah.
This is a chance to leapfrog that, and maybe some car company will see this and go, hey, you know what, why don't we just integrate this and take out the system that we have, let Amazon run it all. We can have their music back end, whatever it is, have them do our navigation. We'll put in a screen for it because there are Echo devices, the Echo Show and others that have screens, and it could become a new revenue source for Amazon. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely. If they took this tech, they took this stuff and buried it, so that you don't see it, but it would still be there in the background.
Yeah. So one of the products they announced with this was a microwave oven with Alexa built into it.
Wow.
So they are definitely trying to put it in everything. One of them that was a clock, it's a wall clock, and I thought that was a great idea because you want to have the device in there and be able to talk to it, but not have it be intrusive, some big cone sitting on your desk that you have to manage or whatever. A wall clock's a great idea for it. Having it built into appliances. The cool thing about having it built into an appliance is you can put microwave popcorn in there and just say, Alexa, cook the microwave popcorn, and it knows how long that microwave should cook to cook microwave popcorn properly. One of the demos that I think The Verge did was they put a potato in there and said to heat up one baked potato, and it just figured out what that was and what the temperature should be to make a baked potato cooked properly, and it did it. So it's nice to have some intelligence built in there. They could keep growing what its capabilities are because it's all cloud connected. It's got a lot of potential.
You do have to tell it what kind of microwave popcorn it is.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, yeah.
It knows what you ordered from Amazon, so it just guesses.
Right? Are you right? It should just. Are you using the Redenbacher popcorn? Okay, then.
Right.
And it knows how long to cook it.
And and you just use it to order Earl Grey warm.
Yes, talk to it like a replicator. I want replicator mode.
Yeah. Well, let's do some shout outs and go home. We have certainly done a full hour. Paul has his headphones off, so I'm not going to start with him. I'll start with Patrick.
Okay. So I've got a different shout out this week. Let's see if I can find it here really quick. It's not popping up. I will just wing it here.
You want me to go to Paul?
No, I've got it. Okay. We got a shout out from a
thank you
blog called Electric Detective. And he was talking about how Bob Lutz is full of shit and quoted us on several points.
Well, we've never said that.
Yes, and so I wanted to give Electric Detectives with an S .blogspot.com a shout out since they did the same for us.
Wow,
There
that
you
is
go.
awesome.
And he mentioned Tesla Life and your show, and your website, carswithcords.net.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. Absolutely. Well, is that it? You don't want to talk about the OEVA?
Yeah, okay, I'll do my usual now. I'm
There
with
you
the
go.
Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and we're on the socials. You can go to some of our cool events out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Paul, take it away, my friend.
Short and sweet. I'm with Boulder Hybrids, boulderhc.com. We fix and repair hybrids and electric cars in Boulder, Colorado. Come and see us. And sell cars too.
If you're anywhere in the Front Range and you need a car, or you need something repaired, or you need technical support,
Or you want an opinion,
talk to Paul. He's the man. Mr. Coughlin.
I'm with the Waterloo Region EVA, and you can find us on Twitter, WREVA Group, and we'd be happy to connect with you. We're doing a number of different events through the year. Please connect with us on Twitter, and we will see you out there.
That's so beautiful. Absolutely. WREVA Group on Twitter. Tony Schaefer.
I am going to give a shout out that no one else is going to give a shout out to, especially not Russell.
Oh no!
Because
Solar Roof? You're going to talk about Elon?
To Russell himself. So for many weeks, people have said, "When are you going to get back on audio? When are you going to update What Drives.us?" I will have you know, and I've been telling people we're working on it. Russell has been working on this. So the What Drives.us site is going to be updated with the most recent episodes, and he's working on getting audio versions available. So hopefully once What Drives... So here's the back end that people don't know. The What Drives.us site has plugins and stuff that automates the whole distribution of the Audible stuff. Not audible.com, but the audio.
Audio only podcast.
So that means that we will be back on iTunes. We will be back, I'm guessing Stitcher, Slacker, SoundCloud.
I don't know about SoundCloud.
CD Baby.
No, we hate CD Baby. Fuck CD Baby.
So yes, a special shout out to Russell, who has been working to get that. Patrick has already pointed out the disadvantage to his work. The most recent podcast show on What Drives.us used to be Patrick's Poop Powers Portland. And it was there for almost a solid year.
It was actually 16 months.
Oh my God. Sadly, it is not the lead show anymore. So that's too bad.
So we're working on that, but that should be hopefully in the next few weeks. We will get caught up. All of our stuff will be back on iTunes and on the other podcast locations. Thank you for mentioning that, Tony.
Yes, and of course, shout outs regular to everyone in the chat room. Thanks all of you. Make sure you're watching the show so you know about youtube.com/whatdrivesus. If you use Flipboard as a news aggregator, look for the What Drives Us magazine, where you'll find all the articles that we talk about on a weekly basis, and then a few extras that I see throughout the week.
Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's it for now.
Yay! Well, thank you. So, as always, thanks to Michael Mannering for his amazing theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. Let's see. Facebook.com/WhatDrivesUs, at What Drives Us on Twitter, at What Drives Us Show on Instagram, at What Drives Us Show on Patreon. If you want to help support the show, that is one way you can do it. And we're working on other ways too. So, all sorts of cool stuff coming up this fall for What Drives Us. What else am I forgetting? My thanks to everybody on the panel, even Patrick, who I usually disagree with, but agreed with twice tonight.
Yeah, the record.
I think Patrick and I are going to have a talk after this show.
He keeps inviting me back. I don't know why.
But thanks to Paul, who makes his workday extra longer and being on the show, and Mark and Tony, who with me do another show, and we're here all night on Wednesday. So thank you for the time. Thanks, of course, to all of you for watching, because without you, there's no point in doing this. Well, I mean, we have fun, but we do it all for you. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. Tune in next week and find out what drives us. Oh, unicorn mug, baby! Unicorn mug.
CD baby.
Oh no! What is that?
That's Derek Simmer's book.
I'm drinking hydrogen.
Dihydrogen oxygen.
We'll see you next week, folks.